Hey, I've never been on a submarine before, but I'd really like to, wouldn't you?
Bob Goff calls himself a recovering lawyer because after 25 years, he left his law practice to become a full-time speaker and writer. Bob has inspired millions to dream big and make life more awesome. He's a popular speaker on college campuses and even sits down for the occasional interview, like this one with a second grader.
There's a little country called Liechtenstein. Look it up on a map when you get home.
Do they lick a lot of people?
They don't lick people, it's Liechtenstein, but that's awesome. They have more sheep than people there.
A few years ago, Bob wrote a book called Love Does, Discover a Secretly Incredible Life in an Ordinary World. He turned the proceeds from the book into an organization of the same name, which turns love into action, providing education and resources to children living in the world's conflict zones.
Well, Bob joins us now. I've never heard anyone say that they were a professional encourager. That's a great title. I love that.
Oh, Gordon, thanks for letting me be here.
Well, as a recovering lawyer to another recovering lawyer, what got you on the path to restore your sanity?
You know, the idea that as lawyers we practice law, and there's something about, like, if you want to make a bunch of money, you could do that. But if you want to make a bunch of difference, sometimes you could, like, even keep your day job, but then find other things to do. And I just started thinking those things in Matthew 25, hungry people, thirsty people, sick people, strange people, naked people, people in jail. And just like, what if we do that? Mm-hmm. And so we started off
arguing for a living.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, while I win arguments for a living, like, I just don't argue about Jesus with anybody, because there's something just beautiful that happens. Like, humble voices carry further in the world, and it's good to have a humble voice. I live on the bay with Sweet Maria, and people come by on their boats and they talk about me, and it's so awkward because they don't know I can hear them.
Water carries them.
Yeah, and so what I'm trying to think about is, like, how can we carry our voice in humble ways? You can speak things that are truth, but, like, there's that idea of just being a little bit more loving way to do it.
Yeah, I've never argued anybody into heaven.
Yeah, and I don't raise my voice except when I'm yodeling, and I've never yodeled. And so one of the ideas of writing this book, Love Does, was there was a publisher, and they said, would you write a book? And I said, I don't know. Will you build a school? I'll trade you. One book for one school. And they said, tell me about the school. And I said, all right, 500 child soldiers in northern Uganda, 50 teachers. They said, big school? I said, big book.
What got you to Uganda?
You know what, there were some friends that were doing some work over there, and they got into trouble, and so I went over to help out, and I thought, well, like, gosh, well, you know what, it's the same thing that everybody that's listening to you, probably what you've done in your life, you say, what are you good at? And I'm a pretty good lawyer, and so I went to the courthouse, and I found the person that had the most guys with guns around his door, and it turns out it was the Chief Justice, and it started this friendship that's lasted many, many years. And the whole idea, you start thinking together, like, how can we move the needle in somebody's life? And a lot of times, like, when I finished up writing this book, on the last page, there was a little bit of room. So I asked them, could I put my cell phone number in there? They thought I was crazy. I'd gone around the bend, and I had, because this idea of following Jesus means a life of constant interruptions, right? And so what if we just make ourselves available to one another? The simplest thing. So I still get 50 or 100 calls a day. It's crazy. I can't get a thing done.
I'm surprised to hear you say, you know, just talking together is going to lead to the solution, because so often when North Americans go overseas, it's we've got the plan, we've got the solution, we're going to show you how to do it. And you don't take that approach.
Yeah,
why is that?
Sometimes it's bad advocacy. Right? Burning other people's opinions down doesn't make you like a right. It makes you an arsonist. What I'm trying to do is do this. I try to, like, I have a strong belief in the Word of God. I read it, I know what it says. And when somebody says something that doesn't square with that, it's not that I'm passive. I just have so much confidence in the power of Christ in the world. I go like, you don't have to swing at every pitch. And the power of loving people in just creative, winsome ways. To say to people, well, what if we just go up there and do that together? So we're right now in Uganda, in Mogadishu, Somalia, in Iraq, in Nepal, and in India. And the next school will go in Congo.
Where did you start out?
I started in India.
What about that? Gotcha.
Yeah, they were, buying and selling kids that were my daughter's age. I'm like, there's just no way I'm going to stand by and take notes. So we just started participating. And that's for all of us. Like a movement is just a bunch of people making moves. And so you don't have to make all of them, but just make the first one. And then probably what you found is that leads then to the next move. All of a sudden you're in Uganda. I said the courts in the northern part of the country hadn't been opened in 20 years because of the civil war that was happening. Took a couple friends and say, what if we go up there and open up the courts? And you know where it started? John Ashcroft. He went over there. I called him up. I said, will you go with me? He's like, who are you? I'm like, don't worry about it. So he went. And there's something beautiful that just happens when you say yes. And it takes this mix of resolve and courage, and it's this whimsy. It's this thought, what would happen if, and then just finish the sentence. And that's because you believe so much in God still being involved in the world, and that he's going to make some stuff happen. If those wind is at your back, it'll come
and
together.
He does it the same way. I mean, Jesus would just go up to people and say, follow me.
Totally.
And wouldn't tell them where we're going, or how we're going to eat, or where's the shelter, or any of that. He just said, follow me.
Bingo.
And it's up to us to say, okay.
Yeah.
And then you got to take the first step.
Yeah, and then something happens, and then you'll get interrupted, right? Somebody pulls on his shirt. He's like, who was that?
Yeah.
Little guy up in a sycamore tree. He's like, lunch on you. And so then what you do is you just take the next step and the next step, and then you start seeing, and you're guided by these mandates. Like when I meet Jesus, I think from what I'm reading, all he wants to talk about is hungry people, thirsty people, sick people, strange people, naked people, and people in jail. And I want to have something to talk about. Like literally. Wouldn't it be awkward? Like if you just ran out of things and you had eternity left? So, and he doesn't want us to keep score. What he wants us to do is to keep our eyes fixed on him. And so you just do the next thing. And while it comes across as just winsome, it's actually very purposeful. It's meaningful. Like we're in Mogadishu, Somalia, because they won't teach little girls how to read or write. I'm like, forget it. There's no way we're just watching. And it's a terrifying place to be. But the thing is this, I'm a comfortable guy, and comfortable people don't need Jesus. Desperate people do, and I'm trying to move from being comfortable to being more desperate. And you get to uncomfortable, and you could do that in your community. You don't have to go across. The gospel is supposed
to disturb the uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've spent my whole life, I realized, trying to make my faith easier. And I think what I'm learning now is he wants us to make it simpler. Right? Jesus points to two sheep, and he says it's like when one of those gets away. So what I'm trying to do is not make it super complicated, but just say, what does it say? And then what's the simplest way to just get started? And it's always the next step.
Well, let's talk about your book, Love Does. How did you come up with just the title of it?
It was actually at a time where a lot of people were really upset with one another. People in our family were acting like, this family of God we've got here, we're acting like we weren't related.
Yeah.
And
we like to fight.
That's why I put a bunch of balloons on the cover. I just want everybody to just take a breath, right? I didn't put a bunch of Bible verses in there. You want a Bible verse? Read the Bible. It's full of them. I just wanted to have a book that said what the Bible said. And so there's something beautiful about that. Wouldn't it be crazy if I said, I'm Bob Goff, and I gave you my driver's license? And then I said, I live in San Diego, Sweet Maria, and I gave a utility bill. The proof of Jesus is in John 17, that we're one. He just made it that simple. It ain't easy, but it's that simple. And so anytime I'm tempted, somebody says something that's just flat wrong, and I'm tempted to be like the lawyer. I want to make myself a sheriff and just be like, correct him. And there's the right time for that, but there's a lot of wrong times. And what I'm learning is just be a little bit more circumspect about this. James 3, to watch what your tongue says. And I'm just like, that's actually great advocacy. And to realize that it'll be the Holy Spirit that lets people know who Jesus is. It won't be Bob.
I'm not trying to simplify it, but it's almost like you say, love just goes and hangs out. And you just being with people is the most important thing you can do.
Well, there's probably more to it than that, but it's informed by everything in your faith, super purposeful. But then how it appears is that you're just hanging out. But there's just like
but
this.
you're bringing Christ. So
Totally. You totally
you're
got
bringing
it.
the Creator of the universe
Just
with
be
you.
one.
So
Just go
when you do that, it's transformative.
Here's the deal. I want to love people who are easy to love. I mean, like all the people I've met here. I mean, you're low-hanging fruit. You're easy to love. Find people who creep you out a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's that idea
They
of
don't
Matthew
smell so
5.
good.
Be like, and I've spent my whole life avoiding the people Jesus spent his whole life engaging. And that's been the twist for me. I want to like find people that like give me the creeps a little bit and then just be friends with them. And that doesn't mean to lecture them, just to be with them, like Emmanuel, God with us with each other.
Well, I find the amazing thing is you actually find community with them.
Isn't that crazy? You find things in common.
You find brotherhood and a connection that, you know, in the natural you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
But then just supernaturally happens.
You ask somebody, what's most important to you? And not have like a canned answer, but just like, what's most important to you? And they'll say, oftentimes it'll be their families. I'm like, oh, you have one of those? Me too. And they say, well, you know, another thing is most important. They can say sports, and that's like 0 for me. But like, sports, but like, tell me, I don't know anything about sports. Like, which one? And there's just something beautiful. You're not trying to work somebody or handle them because we don't lead people to Jesus. Jesus leads people to Jesus. What we do is just love people. And they just
witness.
But it's an informed faith. It isn't just like, whatever. Like, you know, what's the most important thing to me? But I don't need to have a hoodie that says, what's the most important thing to me? John 17, just be one. That's the most important thing to Jesus, that we would be
Where
one.
are you off to next?
Let's see. The next place we go is back to Uganda. We've got quite a few things going there. We have safe houses and schools, and then we're back in Somalia and Iraq, and we're thinking of heading to Pakistan. So
you're going to war zones?
yeah, every school is in a conflict zone. Yeah, because uncomfortable people like actually need Jesus, and I'm one of them. I'm not there to go as help as much as to participate and just do it. My worst subject in school was school, but it turns out I'm like actually pretty good at starting them. So just do what you're good at. Like, that's it. Make your faith easier. Like, what are you good at? What it got me? If he made me good at the trombone, like I might play that every once in a while, but that actually might not move the needle as much as starting a school. But like, do both. Like, literally play trombone in your school if that's what you know how to do. And if we do that stuff, I think heaven will just be leaning over the rails saying like, bingo.
Yeah.
That's it.
Write a song.
Exactly. It won't
see
sell
where
in
it goes.
Nashville, but
Yeah.
like,
Let's see where it goes.
yeah. Oh, man.
All right. Well, the book is called Love Does. Discover a secretly incredible life in an ordinary world. And Bob, thanks for being with us. And
Thanks a million.
Thanks for encouraging us.
Yeah.